Okay, this is my Beco Ring Sling. I got it from the Baby Guy box. I want to show you it has a gathered shoulder, which is wonderful for comfort. Actually much prefer a gathered shoulder to a pleated one, but it's definitely preference. So it has two different rail colors. I want to show you. There's an orange rail and a not orange rail. What I want to do is make sure that the orange rail is continuously on the same side. So it's on top right now. I hold on to it and put those rings over my shoulder and keep it on top. I'm going to accordion fold. And basically what I'm doing is making sure that it's not twisted so much that when I go to pull out slack, it can't because the rings are too tight. So you pull through both rings and then you pull through one, just like a D belt. And then I go back through and I straighten out my rails again. So I make sure my bottom rail is on the bottom and my top rail is on the top. And kind of spread it out a little bit. It just makes it easier. And then I'm going to do a toddler. So I'm going to want about an elbow's length. So I'm going to pull on my rings a little bit and give myself some space because she's 30 pounds. Hey, Sarah, whoops. Okay, I'm going to put her on my shoulder and put both of her feet through the rings, or through the fabric. Okay, and you can see the rings have already dropped. The end position that I want them in is to be right where they are. She's heavy, so she's going to pull down on them. So I'm going to pull the fabric from behind me a little bit under her, just to make sure that the rings stay nice and high. Okay, I'm going to put all of the fabric underneath her bottom, and I'm going to get her to sit so that her knees are above her bum. That way she has a seat. Then, here. Then I'm going to take the top rail, that orange rail, I'm going to pull it up over her back. If she were a squish, if she were really small, I would want it to be up to her neck. But because she's a toddler and she's going to want her arms out, I'm going to go ahead and let her keep her arms out and just go right up to the bottom of her armpits and pull out that slack. I see the orange here and here, so I know I'm pulling in the right place. And then pull through the whole thing. Make sure it's nice and tight. If you can't get the fabric to move, you want to lift up on your child because their weight locks the rings, which is what makes it so secure. So she's solid, 30-pound toddler, not going anywhere. I want to show you a few things you can do with your tail because personally I don't like having the tail hang down. So if you were using this for a squish, which I do a lot, I take the tail and twist it and tuck it underneath the top rail. And that creates almost like a little neck pillow, and you want your top rail to be nice and tight. And that way they have something that they can rest their head on and also kind of keeps their head up in an up position so that their chin isn't on their chest. I'm going to tighten my top rail a little bit. So the other thing that you can do is you can go through and over. And that is nice when your kid is chewing on the rings because you can spread it out and hide them so they can't chew on metal. So that's another thing that I like to do. And she's really secure. With a ring sling, you want to make sure that it's spread out over your shoulder. Even if it were a pleated shoulder, the more condensed it is, the less spread it is across your back. And that spread is what makes it really comfortable. So if this were up here and I wanted to pull it down, I grab both in back with my thumb and the side and I pull it down. And that makes it a little bit more comfortable and takes it off my neck. So that's the Beco Ring Sling. I really like it. I really like the weave. And so it's really nice. It's not super ridiculously thick, but it's really, really supportive, which I really like. And you can see she's got a great seat. She's not going anywhere. I like it. So that's the Beco Ring Sling.